electronics, we have Edwin ICT, and the other staff. We also have our Sergeant at Arms, Kiprop. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Honorable Clerk. Again, to the nominee, we apologize that we've started this session quite late. It is because of the proceedings that we had this afternoon is from 2:30. Thereafter, you privy that there were some petitions that were filed against your vetting. That is by one Alfred Koech and Jonathan Chepkony. I want to inform you that the two petitioners are present. I think they must be in the speakers gallery. Well, Dr. Philemon Bureti, this is a committee on appointments. We've indicated you that the purpose of this committee is to consider your suitability to serve in that office. You'll be asked questions by the members of the committee, and we expect you to answer those questions through the chair. And the honorable members, as they ask the questions, they'll also be asking through the chair. So this will be an interactive session. It will take us about 60 minutes or thereabout. We expect very concise answers, very, very brief answers. Just before we proceed, I want to confirm whether you have with yourself the original ID card together with other academic documents. You can kindly give it to the Honorable Clerk for verification purposes. As the same are being verified, you will be given 10 minutes to make your opening remarks, or rather to tell this committee about yourself.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Philemon Bureti. I was born and brought up in Chepkunyuk, Nandil sub-county, Nandi County. After I trained as accountant, I worked briefly with Eastern Produce, and then I joined the Armed Forces as an accountant, and I worked in the Armed Forces generally for 21 years. In the years that I served, I had the opportunity to serve in foreign missions. Later, I worked at the Kenya Ordnance Factories Corporation, that is the bullets factory, as a finance officer for 10 years. Later on, I joined academia. I taught at the university, and later on, I served as a senior administrator, where I served as a director and a principal of Mount Kenya University, Kakamega campus, Mombasa campus, Kisii campus, Eldoret campus, and I joined county government of Nandi in 2019, first as a director in charge of health administration, planning and operations, and later on in November 2019, I was appointed CEC in this Department of Lands, Environment, Natural Resources, Water and Climate Change. Thank you, Chair.
Wow, thank you so much for that very, very brief introduction. You've actually saved us time. You've took less than 10 minutes, and that is commendable from this committee. So as we proceed, I'll wish to know whether you have any criminal record or a case pending before courts of law or any tribunal is filed against yourself.
None, Chair.
Thank you. Will you please be kind enough to tell us about your financial net worth?
Yeah, Chair, I've worked now cumulatively for 39 years, and I have a net worth of 68 million.
It is comprised of?
It comprises of 20 acres of mature tea, a few rental houses, and a house that I live in.
Okay. Wow, that's good. Now to the substance of the vetting process. I'm sure that you're privy to the 2 petitions that were filed against yourself by the petitioners that we've so mentioned.
Yes, Chair, I received communication from the clerk of the County Assembly.
And you also confirmed that you've since filed responses to that, to those petitions.
Yes, Chair.
Well, there is this petition filed on the 6th day of November 2023 by Jonathan Chepkwony, and he is challenging, rather he is raising an objection towards your approval on the following grounds. 1, it is the violation of the Constitution. 2, on issues of integrity and bad governance. 3, incompetence, and lastly, gross misconduct. What's your response on those particular issues as raised by the petitioner?
Chair, before I respond to this petition, I want to say that land is a very emotive issue. When we are handling issues land in our department, we handle those issues with a lot of human face, because sometimes the people involved, some are vulnerable, sometimes you interact with people who are very old, sometimes you interact with people of different ages and levels, and we handle these issues with a lot of human. At a point when you're handling these issues, we really feel for the concerned, because sometimes at the end of that discussion, Mr. Chair, some break down as a result of cases to do with land, especially in cases where some issues have not gone well. Now, in relation to the petitions that I received, which I responded, Chair, I don't know, Chair, if will you allow me to read my response, or a response in summary?
This committee has a copy of your response, and we'll only wish that you summarize it in just less than a minute.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. The 2 petitions, I received 2 petitions. The first one that I received was a petition from Mr. Kirwa, and another one was, though the writings, the wordings, Mr. Chair, are the same, and in these 2 petitions, I want to begin by saying that the first petition that involves plot number Nandi/Minda 832 is an issue which had been resolved in 2014. It recurred again, I think it was resolved in 2016. And then I came to know about the existence of this dispute when we were invited in 2021 by the Committee of Lands to this assembly. And when we attended the invitation, we had a meeting, we made some presentations, and thereafter we visited the site together with the committee. And later on, we received a communication which was communicating the committee's report that was adopted. And when we read the report, we didn't find a direct involvement that touches on our department, except that the report particularly asked or recommended to the National Lands Commission, which is the administrator and the manager of all public lands, because what caused the dispute was the records. There were 3 distinctive records that were used, that were employed in this dispute, Mr. Chair, that, Chair. So the first dispute was because there were records from 2 different affairs, and the assembly report recommended that to avoid the disputes that resulted from two different sources and different maps, as by the registrar's decision, the committee recommended that National Land Commission submit a comprehensive on the same, which I want to believe that they have ever done. And if they have not done, Chair, I would request that the National Land Commission be asked to do it, because I know that the petitioner of the respondents are suffering because of non-conclusion of the same, Chair. On this other one, apart from one item, all the items, Chair, that have been mentioned are in court. One was concluded, and the land that was public land reverted back to the government, and the other portions that have been mentioned, the other plots, Chair, the concerned cases are actively in court. Thank you, Chair.
So, do you confirm that you since acted on the recommendations by this Honorable House as regard the petition filed by Alfred Koech? Have you complied, or rather have you implemented the recommendations of the committee of the Assembly?
Yes, Chair. The recommendations of the committee, one was that there was a disconnect between the county government and the population in regard to management of wetlands. And this House, through our committee, was able to pass an act, that is Wetland Management and Conservation Act of 2021, which has guided us on working on the same. Again, the House had advised that once we are working on wetland issues, we need to do a public participation. While we were working on some other wetlands in Mosoriot, in Kibirong, in Kapkongony, and Kipkongorwa, Chair, we did public participation and we involved the community as per the instructions and the direction of the committee of the House.
So does that tell you that you fully complied or partly complied?
We are fully compliant, Chair.
Okay. The very last question from the petitions is filed by the petitioners, more so one by Alfred Koech. He indicates that he lives in a community, but he is the only person who is affected by the decision of your office. Is that true?
Chair, Mr. Koech has neighbors, and in the title deeds, his title does not reach the river, but the other neighbors, their title list reaches the river. And because the title list goes beyond, we advised those that are staying there, we told them that we gave them the meters, the minimum meters where they are supposed to cultivate. We told them that you can use it, you can plant friendly trees, you can graze, but we did not put a fence because the title deed reaches the age. But for Mr. Koech's case, the title deed where the surveyors had put the beacons is where it reaches. But from this, during our meeting here with the members of the committee, we allowed and we said that even elsewhere, wherever we've repossessed public land that touches on riparian land, we don't deter the occupants or the owners from using as long as it is used properly. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Nominee, for very, very brief answers. I'll now hand over you to my colleagues, members of the Appointments Committee, to engage you. Honorable Kirongo.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening. My question touches on budget implementation and absorption. Now, it's been argued that since you came to the office of the Department of Lands, that the said department have actually experienced monumental failure and dismal performance in terms of absorption of budget allocation to the docket, and thus seriously hampering services delivery across the county. What is your take on that?
Thank you, Chair. Since I came to the Department of Lands, Environment and Natural Resources, on area, the section, because we have lands, we have environment, and we have water. On area water, we have had a lot of challenges because when we design water projects, we design projects that would cost possibly maybe up to between 10, 20 to 50 million. And when the allocation is done and the amount that is allocated to the department for water infrastructure, we are forced to rework again on the designs, and it has not affected us all the years. It happened in 2018, 2019, 2020, when during the Corona era, all our monies were transferred to the Department of Health to help fight the Corona menace. And the projects that we had planned for that time was worth 150 million. In the preceding years, we always continued working on the same, but in 2020, 2021, we were given 60 million for water projects. 2022, 23 were given 17.5, and 23, 24 we were given 90. And right now, as we are talking, Chair, we have already advertised. And so we've not had problem with absorption of funds in our department.
Now, you've served in the department since 2019 or 2018?
2019, Chair.
2019. Now, as a CEC member, you've been a CEC member until the other day, the court quashed the extension of your appointment. I want you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being the least, 10 the highest. Rate yourself, Mr. CEC.
Chair, in land section, I would relatively rate myself 9 over 10. In environmental section, I rate myself 8 over 10. In water, I rate myself 7 over 10. Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Martin Douglas.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, Mr. Bureti. Just a quick one, Mr. Bureti. The law mandates you as a CEC to actually submit your quarterly reports. Can you please tell this committee that you have submitted for the last 1 year? Have you done your submission?
Chair, we had submitted until before we left office, the report was ready. And I want to believe that has been presented. I have not checked, but I want to believe that was presented, Chair.
For which quarter, Ms. Bureti?
We had presented in April, the April was presented, because we present our reports through the Department of Finance, our reports. And so we presented the first quarter and the second quarter.
I mean, the law doesn't require you to actually submit your quarterly report to finance. The law requires you to submit your reports to the county assembly.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. It is true that the requirements ordinarily, or the ideal situation, Chair, is that reports should be presented to the county assembly. But for unitarily for management, our procedure, we normally submit them to finance first and route to assembly.
So means...
But Chair, it is to the assembly that we present and submit.
So you...
Yes. Just to interrupt, Honorable Nominee, remember that you're on oath. As you answer those questions, kindly remember that you're on oath.
Chair, allow me, after this, I go check the state and then I'll submit an answer to this House.
Yes, because I know you have a lot of titles. You are a preacher, and of course, the norms of preaching doesn't allow you even to lie, not even the Constitution.
Very true, Chair.
Yes, so you need to go and check on your records.
That's why I've requested, Chair, that I'll go and check, and I'll submit back to this House.
Accepted. Having served actually in your department for the last term, that is 5 years, if given an opportunity today to award yourself marks out of 100, what percentage can you, in terms of performance?
In terms of performance, to be fair to me, Chair, 70% would be ideal, sir.
Honorable Balala, you wanted to hear from the nominates 100%. He can't lie, he said 70%. Honorable Bureti.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Good evening, Mheshimiwa Bureti.
Good evening, Chair.
I do have some few questions for you. And one, your department has been receiving grants or donations from development partners.
True, Chair.
Could you be able to quantify for the past 1 year, since you took over as a CC, in brief, the amount of grants that you have received in figures, and probably how you have spent them?
Thank you, Chair. Most of the partners that we work with in the department do not give us direct monetary. Like VOW have supported us in training. They have supported us in working on policies. They have supported us in working on bills that we presented to the Assembly. They have also supported us in capacity building, public participation, and other functions. Another partner is World Bank for Flogger funds. The Flogger funds, we were among the few counties to have passed the act, the Climate Change Act. That was a requirement. So after we met all the minimum requirements to be funded by World Bank through Flogger programs, we've qualified, and we received initially 20 million that was specifically meant for, they came 10-10 for training and facilitating the activities of FLOCA in awaitance to the actual grant that is due. Hopefully, towards the end of this month, we'll be receiving 107 million from FLOCA. That will be the first payment, which will go to our ward climate change funds directly. So a figure of 107 million, that means about 4.5 million per ward. So we yet to receive, but we have not received. Again, we have another partner, that is CECM, the Kenya Informal Settlement. CECM have assisted us in planning our centers and towns, that is Kabiet, Kaiboi, Baraton, Kaptumo, Kimeloi, and Lesos. So they advertise, they give the contract, and they pay. So they don't give us the monetary value directly. Again, the same CECM, after we had planned our Mosoria town, they have given us a grant of 250 million for Mosoria infrastructure. And the contract has already been advertised, and we are expecting the contractor to go on site in Mosoria. We are also privileged to have had this from the same organization. They are helping us to plan Potopoto, Mogoyuet, Kobujoy, and a few other centers. Again, they are not giving us cash, but they are helping us do the work. Thank you, Chair.
So you are confirming that probably from FLOCA you received 20 million.
Yes.
And okay.
Yes, Chair.
And
the Chair, sorry, the 20 million that was to be sent is based on a work plan that was presented. The auditors came, went round the 30 wards, did their internal audit, and they passed the acceptance of the amount. And after they gave, when the training were going on, again they came, they audited, and the audit has already been done for the expended amounts, and we are waiting for the report. Thank you, sir.
So out of this 20 million, you budgeted around 11 million for capacity building. That true?
That is true, Chair.
Don't you find that it's an awkward to spend 50% of the amount received for capacity building?
Thank you, Chair. It was in their work plan that is the amount that was set aside. It is a control. It is a control figure for all counties in Kenya. So that is the amount that was set for that training, Chair.
Now, you led a delegation. You led a delegation to attend a workshop. Okay, let me reserve that question for later. There is a general assertion. This is a question, probably it's a general question you can basically maybe answer yes or no. There's a general assertion by the members of the public that you have blatantly mismanaged the lands department and you have failed to steer it to success. These has led to serious underperformance in key result areas of the department, such as water provision and restoration of water catchment areas. What's your take?
Chair, in our department, I don't agree with the statement because we have worked as per the provisions and the requirements of the department. every year we have development budget for water projects. We have those projects, Chair, in all our wards. The challenge that we have in water, as I said earlier, is that a water project to be complete, it requires a minimum of 10 million. So during our budget, many times we average around 3 to 2 million per ward. And again, because of the demand of Mwananchi, you find that Mheshimiwa from a particular ward would again distribute the 3 million, maybe to 6 projects as it was earlier. Actually, Chair, this is a problem we have solved in this dispensation with the new government. But initially, we would have a situation where 3 million would be distributed to 6 projects of about 500,000 each. Now, a project that was meant to cost 5 to 8 million has been given 5 million. I mean 500,000. That means that project will delay, that every year it will be given a smaller percentage. A project could take even 4 years before completion. Currently, we have a lot of projects in our fields, in our wards, that require small amount of money for completion. And to Mwananchi, who sees 3 million has been given to their ward, they are not aware that the same amount has been distributed to smaller. At the moment, as long as the Mwananchi has not drawn water, according to Mwananchi, the water has not arrived. We have a lot of projects even today, like we have done a program that would have costed us maybe 7 million or 6 million up to distribution. But because the amount that was set for that project was less, we may have done it from the borehole, we pumped the water to the tank, and we are waiting for another funding to distribute water to Mwananchi. At that point, it is possible for Mwananchi to say that he's not enjoying the services, because it is true, we've spent money, we've dug, we've pumped water to the tank, but the water has not left the tank. And that is why when we sat down with the members of the county assembly, we agreed with them individually to allow us to have the amount that has been set for development to be used to complete projects. And that is why we have 38 projects which are now complete and running as a result of that for 2021, 2022. And we are also very grateful because next year we are moving towards Wardvan. And in Wardvan, a very, I want to say that very precious kind of an arrangement, because all the funding now will go as a unit. It will no longer be going as, we'll be saying that this ward has gotten 30 million, and it will be easier for the project selection committee to put money into one project that will be complete or 2 projects within the ward. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Bureti, are you done?
I'm done, Honorable
If
Chair.
you're done, I can invite now Honorable Sarah Mutwal to engage the nominee.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So, Mr. Bureti. my
Yes,
attention is
Honorable.
Still on the petitioner, Alfred. Okay, the petitioner, Alfred, has a title deed, a valid title deed given by the Republic of Kenya, Ministry of Lands. And the acreage in that title is not what you have allocated him in the ground. And it is your office that could guide this fellow on what to do. Because the title was given, and I don't think the title lies. When it came to the ground, the measurement of the land does not reflect what is in the title. So as a county government, under you, I think it was wise to give a proper direction to the petitioner or the county government to compensate that piece of land that has been treated as the rebellion land. So, Mr. Bureti, I'm seeing that there was some injustices done to this petitioner because he's a small man. How best can you now handle that issue so that it cannot disadvantage him because he has a valid title? You can answer that one.
Thank you, Chair. I think when I started handling the land issues, Chair, I remember I said that land issues are very emotive, and when we're handling land issues, we handle them with a lot of human face. And we feel for our citizens where land disputes are involved. And it is the reason why His Excellency the Governor coordinated for us to have an high court, a lands high court here in Kapsabet. Because, Chair, a lot of our citizens, the old, the young, the vulnerable, would be traveling to Eldoret because of land issues and land disputes when they went to court. And that is why we appreciate the leadership of the governor by even surrendering some of our county offices to have the High Court, which has reduced the stress and the expenses of our citizens traveling for land cases. And again, as a department, we've always advocated for alternative conflict resolutions because litigation sometimes is expensive. And the reason why, and I appreciate the petitioner for having petitioned to the county assembly, because that is an alternative way of solving the issues. Apparently, I think, Chair, this change is important to note that different government organs have different roles as far as land issues are concerned. We have the National Land Commission, who are the managers and administrators of public land. We have the National Physical Planning that coordinates planning, and then we have the land registrar. Land registrar, an employee of the Ministry of Lands. Registration of documents for all land, and hearing and determining boundary disputes. All boundary disputes by law are determined by the registrar. And where the concern is not satisfied with the registrar's decision, there are different avenues that one can take, and that is what we advocate in our department. And that is why I said that I appreciate, Chair, the petitioner for having involved the county assembly. However, I want to say, Chair, from the report of the assembly, this issue has not been concluded, Chair. There is this room which the assembly asked the National Land Commission to harmonize, to bring to agreement the different scales that were applied by different parties. Because from that petition, you realize, Chair, that the petition is dependent on records from the national government's affair. And the registrar that was handling the issue is dependent on the other's affair. So it's my wish that the National Land Commission take up this matter and follow it up. And again, it's important that I mention, Chair, that title deeds, they normally say approximately. It's always approximation. Sometimes the actual size on the ground may not necessarily agree with the title deed. The title deed is approximate. Sometimes it's approximate. But as I requested that I will over, and I would request that the petitioner, we move the National Land Commission, because it is my wish that this case is brought into conclusion, because I can imagine the sufferings that our citizens go through as a result of land disputes. Thank you, sir.
So, Mr. Bureti, are you aware that water was a preventive measure towards COVID-19?
Very true, honorable member.
Yeah, it is very true. Then why did your department decided to kill all the water projects during that period of COVID pandemic?
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. There was a directive from the Ministry of Finance, national government, to all government entities that all developments, all monies that were set aside were transferred to health. So this assembly that time, because of that regulation from the Ministry of Finance, transferred all the 150 million to help fight corona. And when it was transferred, honorable member, it was a decision, and the monies were used during that time, because everybody, and some of that money ended up even buying some tanks, water tanks, but it was managed under Ministry of Health. Thank you, sir.
Okay, another question is that you have rated yourself 7/10 in terms of water projects. Yeah. 7/10, which means remaining only 3/10. But when we go across our wards, we don't have even tapped water. Most projects are bending, and the 3% will not cover that one. The work that is in the ground actually is below 5%. It still needs a lot. So what effort have you done, or what plans do you have to see that there is water tap water running in our wards, apart from the money being allocated by the county? Do you have any other plans to get funds from maybe other organization to assist now to meet this the 3% we are talking about? But I don't think it is 3%. It is more than 3%, because water in our areas, it is when we talk of water, it is just a thorn in the flesh. When we say that we have water and there is no water, it is a fact in the ground that we don't have water.
Thank you, Chair.
Follow-up question the same, Honorable Chair, so that you would answer the same question. Honorable Bureti, for the past 1 year, leave alone work in progress, yeah? Leave alone work in progress projects. I'm talking of new projects on this, on the last 1 year. Could you be able to prove how many new projects, leave alone work in progress or the bending bills, have you initiated? How many?
Thank you, Chair. As I said when I started responding to water issues, I said that water projects, because of inadequate funding, is a process. It's a process because in the past, as I said, when we give, or when we allocate every ward approximately like for example in 2019, 2020, I mean, we didn't have because of Corona. In 2020, 2021, 60 million to that towards approximately is 2 million. There is no water project chair that can be started and completed with 2 million. In 2022, 2023, we were allocated 17.5 million. Again, distributed by all departments, I mean, all wards cannot. So the challenge that we have had in water, because of inadequate funding, and again, the same small inadequate amount being distributed to serve more than 5 projects in one ward. Most of the projects that we have done is, I mean, what the members of the county assembly then would allocate is for weir protection. It was mainly for protection. And the contracts that were given were completed, paid and audited and found to have been okay, because it was maybe protection as step 1, and possibly maybe the following year is to move to another step. But what we have done, and we have agreed with the current assembly chair, is that we will be involved, discussing all of us, so that we put all the money in one project for completion. And that is why I said we were able to complete 38 projects we are through now. And it is true that we have negotiated and partnered with the national government. We have a big project in Nandi Hills, a project of 500 million, where we have now sourcing from River Mokong. That water goes to Nandi Hills Town, it goes to Kosoywa, it goes up to Kablelmet. We are also working with the national government, the Keben Dam. The Keben Dam will be a game changer in Nandi, because the water that we'll get from Keben Ward, because the first tank will be at the site, second one at Temaki, another one in Jepterit, and one in Nandi Hills and Kapsabet to Lelepas. We also have the Kipkaren River, where 78% goes to Wasungishu and 22 comes to Nandi. So we are, so I want to say that we have a lot of water projects on the ground that requires more funding for those projects to be effective and to work. We have projects that are complete, but the water has not reached the top, because again, it requires more funding. If I can be allowed to put all the money in a ward to one project, I assure you, Chair, that we'll have complete projects. But as I said earlier, it's no longer a problem, because we have started working with the members of the County Assembly, and we are succeeding, and that is why we are now finishing our projects. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so I have another question to you. Okay, His Excellency, the Governor, has been very passionate about resolving historical land issues, injustices in favor of the communities affected. For the period you have served in that token of CEC for lands, what have you been able to achieve in this matter?
Thank you, Chair. In lands, we have successfully followed up on historical land claims with the National Land Commission. A good number have been solved by the Commission, and we have some that the Commission is still following and working on the same. We have, like the former Kimondi Forest Quarters. We have the issue of Chepkumia, which to date, the forest are in identifying and mapping out public land, though we have land registry. And we successfully negotiated for the construction of RD House. We have also promotion of national, in the Department of Environment, we have cassetted the committee that is charged with the responsibility of managing the environment on behalf of the county government, enactment of the Climate Change Act of 2021, enactment of Wetland Conservation and Management Act, the County Environmental Committee, through NEM, has issued a number of restoration orders aimed at rehabilitating the district wetlands. Planting of trees, we are doing well as a county, and our forest cover and our tree cover is within the 10% of the national. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I believe you don't have any other questions to the nominee. Honorable nominee, just as a wrap up, first of all, I want to appreciate the fact that you've submitted to this committee that you have an ultra-modern Ardhi house in Nandi. And secondly, there is an outcry by small stall owners within Kapsabet that you intend to demolish the structures without, having consulted them. How true is that statement?
Thank you, Chair. Ordinarily, Chair, government land, when it is not in use, we allow our citizens to use them, because instead of leaving it fallow, sometimes even churches approach us and they request, and we allow them to have temporary structures. When we were planning to do our plan, we did a public participation. We call all stakeholders to our meetings. We informed them of our intention, Chair, that we intend to do, and the planning that we are doing, because some of the land that we are using is the land that we have earmarked for accessible housing, affordable housing, sorry, Chair, and others that we want to use for other activities. We don't, Chair, we don't displace anybody or any citizen unless the land is to be put in use. And through our department, through the office of the municipal manager, because we asked the municipal manager, because he was in our meeting when we were planning, we asked the municipal to inform the traders of our intentions, and I'm sure they were informed, Chair.
Okay, thank you. The very last question: in the event this committee finds favor and does a report for your approval as the CCM member in charge of lands, environment, and natural resources, what are the circumstances under which you may be able to leave office?
Thank you, Chair. If this committee approves my appointment, I intend to leave the department much better than I found. On issues land, we'll make sure that those elements of land that have not been finalized, I will try my best to put it to finality. Again, Chair, in all our sections, even in water, the water projects, which I know that this house in future, because I've always requested through my committee to elevate our funding to enable us do complete all our pending projects that were done in phases. Those projects that were done in phase 1, those that were done in phase 2, we will have them accomplished. And finally, Chair, if this committee gives me this opportunity, I will work and I'll put all my effort to serve the people of Nandi. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Nominee. Honorable Teno. Honorable Teno, you had stepped out. Perhaps in less than 2 minutes, you can engage the nominee before he makes his final remarks.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Honorable Chair. Maybe because of, I think he was making the final submission, I can only ask Waziri, what are some of the ways of CC being removed from an office? Grounds.
One is working against the Constitution, and 2, inefficiency. I think those are the major.
What of maybe impeachment or gross misconduct?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Why I was restricting on the 2, because the process will be through impeachment. It will be through impeachment, which I'm praying very hard, that I work hard and I put all my effort to make sure that I work and I do my work. Thank you, sir.
Honorable
Finally,
Honorable Tenor, proceed.
finally, on my question, Honorable Chair, is concerning most of the lands, the government lands, has got no titles. As the CC for the last 6 years, what efforts have you done to ensure that you reclaim the public lands? Yeah, especially on major towns like Kapsabet, even the sub-county like Kabiet. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. We've managed to, we have a lot of public lands here in Kapsabet that are erroneously in private hands. And we have a case that we are prosecuted. Actually, we didn't go to court. It was the other party that went to court. But the court gave us 2 acres of land, which was earmarked for lower density buildings, residential. We also have others that we are pursuing through EACC. Others we are pursuing through alternative conflict resolution. And we have quite a number. And at this juncture, Chair, you will allow me also to request that in future, during our budget, many times we request for finances on land administration to manage public land. And many times, those are the faults that fall. And now that, Honorable Member, you have mentioned, I would request that in future, if I'll have a chance to work as a CC in charge of lands, I would urge this House that in future, those elements and those levels of expenditure should be funded to enable us to do it, because sometimes it's because of lack of funding, and that is why we request our partners to assist us on the same. So as I conclude on the same question, Honorable Member, we had made some requests to some of our partners to assist us, to fund us as we title all our public lands. Thank you, sir.
Honorable Majority Leader, you are done.
Maybe also on a follow-up question on the public lands, we have also these riparian lands, whereby most of the people have encroached the lands, which could have actually saved the climate. And I think you haven't, as a CC, you haven't, from my knowledge, you haven't reclaimed even a single riparian land that has been encroached by the members of the public.
Thank you, Chair. We are on record, Chair. We repossess 78 acres of Kapkungony, which an individual had used it into private use. We repossess Kipkongor was 68 acres. Kibirong, we repossessed it. We have possessed 4 acres in Lesos. We have possessed 13 acres in Ngejek. So the process is ongoing, Chair. We will repossess, but as I said earlier, we are doing it with a lot of human face. We are doing it through public participation. We are doing it through discussions, so that we don't hurt also our citizens. And I'm glad, Chair, that there is a lot of cooperation on the same. In all that we have done together. Thank you, Chair.
Perfect. Thank you for the great work you have done.
Thank you, Honorable Member.
Thank you, honorable members. Just the very final question. I heard you put a lot of emphasis on issues of impeachment. Are you aware that His Excellency the Governor can also choose to remove you from office for no apparent reason?
Thank you, Chair. I was really being economical, but the truth of the matter is that, Chair, I serve under the will of the appointing authority. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So, honorable nominee, you have 2 minutes, or rather in less than 5 minutes, to make your final submissions, or rather your closing remarks.
First, I would wish to thank the chair and the members of this panel for inviting me to appear before this panel for this session. It's been quite interactive, and I have appreciated the time that we've spent here, and even issues that I've touched on, especially the ones that touches on land. As I end, I continue repeating and saying that it has never been our wish to hurt anybody, but public land is public land. Public land will remain public, and it is our responsibility to guard the public land for our future generation. And I would wish to request that this committee consider me for this position. I assure this committee that I'm equal to the task, and I will serve the people of Nandi. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, honorable nominee. I think we now concluded today's session, and we must thank you for your patience. Like we've already indicated that we apologized for having started this session a bit late. To the members of the committee, thank you for your indulgence, together with the members of the Secretariat, and also the members of the public for seeing it good to be present while hearing this approval. So the committee will retire, and we'll be able to do a report. And as we do a report, those petitioners who had filed the petitions, we are also going to consider those petitions while doing our final report. So at this juncture, honorable nominee, you stand discharged to do your other duties. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair and honorable members.